Isn't that amazing? Did you ever think that could happen?
Well, it's a lot of when I use this oracular discipline to make my own predictions. Not only do I interpret other prophets, but I figure if you're really going to be intimate into this rather subjective experience, you have to also have the experience. And so I try to balance my scholarship with actually doing mediumship. And so I can feel what it's like to be some of the people that I write about. And, I'm often, most of the time what I predict is not what I personally agree with, even though I tend to push a lot of people's buttons on every side, left, right, or center of an opinion, who all think that I'm being biased. But as been the case with my 11-0 record on presidential elections, it's clear since 1968 that some of the people I predicted were not people I voted for. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. And you've predicted them all. How many years in a row now?
11-0, 11 presidential elections.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course on your show, George, early on when Barack Obama was just beginning his presidency, I remember one of the overviews of the show caused a huge storm of controversy because I said that Barack Obama was a two-term president. And I tell you, the emails I got about that were quite intense, but now it doesn't look so off the wall.
No, not at all. It's going to be a horse race. No matter who runs against him, it's going to be a horse race.
Yeah. And for Bernanke, I said in Predictions for 2011, the newest ebook out at HopeProphecy.com on predictions for the year, I said that he would take the Federal Reserve and print yet again another $600 billion. That's his wad that he predicted he would do, but I say he'll do $1 trillion. And it was sort of fulfilled in that press conference, and electronically so too. And I said, for this new bubble of the buck to succeed, he and the United States fiscal policy will need monetary help from the Chinese and Russian governments, inflating the value of their currency. With economic currency nationalism on the rise in 2011, economic coordination won't be forthcoming.
John, as you look at all these events, how much more can people take? We seem to be getting bombarded every day with something.
The new normal is upheaval. Years back when we were just entering this new century, I often said, and I also said it way back in my first shows with Art Bell on Coast to Coast, that every year that we enter deeper into the dark or interesting unknown territory of the century of the 21st century, we were going to have more and more pressures from all dimensions of our lives, from nature, from politics, from economy, all pressuring us to see as a civilization, as a human race, that our sustainability on this planet, our future on this planet, requires us to make a fundamental evolutionary jump and change. Otherwise, we will not be able to sustain this civilization, especially by the time we reach the 2020s. And go ahead.
No. I want to hear you out. Go ahead.
And I still, unfortunately, we are right on track with that. Although my work has been to try to, prophecy is not written in stone in my experience of 30 years of it. We basically, by behaving very predictably, because our societies does not encourage innovation and new thinking, but more dogmatic and traditional, this is the way the past has been, and thus we turn our future into the past. We are, as long as we stay on that road, we're making a lot of the dire rather than a whole plethora of very positive potential future predictions from happening. And I'm working in my little way, to help people see how they affect the future. And that is, in a way, answering your question, how much more can people take? They have to reach a point like where they go, I have to affect a change myself, that I have to start changing and promoting those things that avert us from auto-suicidal behavior, because right now the human race is on a path to auto-suicidal behavior.
The French prophet Nostradamus lived in the 1500s, whom, by the way, you have an uncanny resemblance to. I mean,
actually, I look more like Brahms, but that's okay.
I got to get a picture of that too. But
I'm going to have to put one on the website.
I'd love to see that. Did Nostradamus say anything about these events that are unfolding right now? This upheaval, this constant...
Oh, yes. This is a very busy time in Nostradamus. One of the most interesting things I could draw up right now is that he talked about in his prophecies a black and future king, a black king that would fight well, I'll just read the prophecy. It's century 6, quatrain 33. His power finally through the bloody USA. That's the anagram allo sanguinaire, which is le USA sanguinaire in anagram. It's a word play. He will be unable to protect himself by sea. Between two rivers, Mesopotamia and Iraq, he will fear the military hand. The black king will make the angry one repent of it. Now, as an expert, to translate that, you have a number of things here. You have an indication of the USA, of Mesopotamia. That is modern-day Iraq's name. And it is a nation between the Tigris and Euphrates. He will not be able to protect himself by sea, has a number of thoughts. Mesopotamia, of course, was al-Qaeda's front that Osama bin Laden used to fight the U.S. armed forces. He was defeated there. His forces were defeated there during the Sunni awakening. He cannot protect himself by sea. Well, that has a new fling to it, too. That could be his burial at sea.
Let's come right back to that, John, in just a second. John Hogue, as we talk about prophecy on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, John Hogue, our special guest. John, we were talking about Nostradamus and some of the other areas of his predictions. I want to get into the Antichrist with you as well, but do you continue to find new information about him and his predictions?
Yes, more from simply looking at the way in which prophecies become clearer as the codes look more and more like contemporary events, like the famous prophecy about a guy called the dubious one, un dubieux, who would rule the capital. And the people of the capital would not want him to rule anymore. That didn't make a whole lot of sense until we had a president called Dubia. And so that's a new bit of information. But like what I was saying before, the commercial about century 6, quatrain 33, there's some new twists of meaning in this famous prophecy about the bloody USA in Mesopotamia. The fact that this person being attacked by the U.S. would not be able to protect himself by sea, well, that was our great advantage. We had our fleets out there and were able to attack and have our air support over Iraq. But it also might imply that this is more and more about Osama bin Laden because he was buried at sea, which was a little odd. In Mesopotamia, he will fear the military hand. Well, al-Qaeda in Iraq was defeated, and it was the Black King who will make this angry one, this person, repent of his going in there. Now, what I said 3 or 4 months before Barack Obama was even president in the Nostradamus and the Antichrist, codename Mabus, I looked at that and I made this prediction. Another candidate for angry one is Osama bin Laden, who will repent ordering al-Qaeda to infiltrate Iraq during the Bush administration. The black president, King, will increase U.S. forces in Afghanistan, killing or capturing Osama in a military incursion into Pakistan.
Fantastic. Unbelievable.
I also said that that the Black King would be Barack Obama.
Yes, you did. There's no question about that.
Yes.
This prophecy and what you've been able to look at, I mean, do you use some of Nostradamus, or you're just all on your own now, or do you use some of Nostradamus's work?
Well, I use a lot of different things. The main thing in this work is to harness a comprehensive scholarly approach, an investigation into the data and to future trends, and then find a knack to step back in a very quiet place and sort of allow, almost to use a metaphor, it's almost like let oneself become the bamboo flute, as they say in Asia, and let a mystery play it. And that the dimension of that bamboo flute, if you will, is the sum total of my experiences and my scholarship that's then played, so to speak, by a very silent space. And that's as close in language as I can get to the process that I finally evolved for myself, which is actually very different from the processes that people like Nostradamus used, which were the opposite. Very set up, ritualized amalgamation of many traditions, whole step-by-step issues. I'm kind of the opposite. He was into working hard at it. I'm into let go.
What do you think of the... Go ahead, John. I'm sorry. Stepping all over you tonight.
Yeah, well, there's a little delay. What's your next question?
What... The president is not releasing any of these pictures of bin Laden in his body. What do you think about that?
I think it's a mistake. I also, from my own tuning into bin Laden, and I'm trying to collect all the objective documentation of correspondences and shows and things that I've said, when people say, oh, bin Laden's dead, or he's this way and that way, I've always felt that he was somewhere in Pakistan in a large city in a compound. And when this thing happened, that's the first time since this whole business began. And in my case, the business began in the early 90s when I started tracking Osama bin Laden as a potential candidate for Antichrist, long before he was well known in the world. That's when I felt that he was gone. So as far as my own intuition tells me, he is gone. And I think that, unfortunately, one of the big warnings that are involved with the famous Mahbus prophecy, which is the code name for the third Antichrist, which, by the way, Osama bin Laden's name decodes into it. If you take Mahbus or take Usama and you spell it the proper way, you get M-A-A-U-S,